Well, it's about that time. It is about that time.
To break forth the rhythm and the rhyme.
I'm gonna get mine, so get yours.
I don't know the rest of the words.
I want to see sweat coming out your pores.
What?
Come on, Marky Mark.
Come on, come on.
Feel it,
Come
feel it.
on.
Feel the vibration.
Good
Good
vibration.
Sorry. Hey, folks, man. Time for another podcast.
Yeah, and on this one, we discussed why Mark Wahlberg is the songbird of a generation. That'd have been hilarious if I hadn't stumbled over the words.
We're
but
not
I did.
going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk
probably
about
be the last time he's mentioned.
Yeah, probably.
But hey, we won a game.
We did win a game. It was, for every bit as impressive as the UAPB win was, this one was the complete opposite. But hey, we won.
We won. 2-1.
You know who else won, Travis?
Who won?
Baker Mayfield. Thank you.
Oh, shut up. Anyway, hit it, Sean Michelle.
1, 2, 3, 4. You've ever seen a lame man walk? Ever heard a dumb man talk? Never seen a blind man see? I promise you will change his name. You ever seen a cancer dead? Ever seen all the poor get fed? Ever seen a prisoner set free? I promise you will change his name.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hawg Slop podcast with your boy, Big C, and your other boy, that's me, Bigger T. How you doing, Clint Clark?
I'm doing fantastic, and I tell you what, I know you, and so you were butchering that Rocky quote. Absolutely butchering it, and you're going to play the music up till the start of the show, and you know what? I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you a bit. If I could edit this stuff, I would edit all the dumb stuff I'd say, but out of it, but then we wouldn't have a podcast.
Yeah.
So, Travis, I just want to come on here like a man. Like a man. I'm a man. I'm 48. I'm a man.
You're a man.
And congratulate you.
Yeah.
On the huge fantasy football win. The Bunno Browns.
That's right.
They took degeneration fat out behind the woodshed.
That's right, baby.
And they whipped them. They pulled. There was a bam, bam, bam.
Yep.
I tell you, I'm starting. I made the bold decision, because he was literally the best guy out there. Caleb Williams has not impressed me this year. I know he hasn't impressed me this year, so I couldn't, in good conscience, start him. I drafted Jordan Love. He was my quarterback.
Yeah.
He fell down. He fell down, hurt himself, went boom.
Fell down, went boom.
So I'm like, I'm not starting Malik Willis. I refuse.
No.
So I am starting sneaky Sam Darnold though.
Yeah.
And he did have
a good week. Yeah.
He's not doing bad for me, but Sam Darnold's if you would have asked me before this year if I would have Sam Darnold as my fantasy football quarterback, I'd be like, I quit fantasy football.
Yeah.
I'm never playing again. But no, I got Sam Darnold. I figured if nothing else, he's just going to fling it in Justin Jefferson's general direction, and good things should happen.
Yeah.
That's
hey, Sam Darnold, came out that year, was drafted above Baker Mayfield.
No, he wasn't. Baker Mayfield was number 1 overall.
Oh no, I'm sorry, after Baker.
Yeah.
Right in that same draft class. Yeah. And he's had it tough, but hey, man, he looked good last week. We'll see. He's
looked good. He's had 2 good games, but Minnesota's they've got so much talent on that team. They're literally. I mean,
he's finally got some talent around him. Yeah,
he's got some talent around him. So let's see what he can do. Obviously the Niners' is a situation where he was there and he was there to back up Brock.
Yeah,
that was Brock Purdy's team, and it's always going to be Brock's team. So.
Clint, I'm in 3 leagues.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, I think I have the same quarterback in every league.
That's awesome. Who you rolling with? I say
Mahomes.
Mahomes, yeah. I actually did our fantasy football draft on the road back. I was, I believe, in Colorado.
Really?
doing the fantasy football draft. Yes, I was. So
Nice. Hey, and just for your information, Doug Jolly's still on the board.
Doug Jolly's on the board.
Yeah, a little inside
Doug
joke
Jolly
there.
tied in for the at the time, I believe, Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, that's right.
That's before they moved to Vegas.
Yeah.
Man, can you know Gardner Minshew? You just never know which of these quarterbacks is going to make a career in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because of all the Razorback quarterbacks we've had through the years, if he said, okay, there's going to be a guy, he's going to stick around the league forever. He's going to make an NFL pension.
Yeah.
And, he's not going to be a superstar, but he's going to make a career in the NFL. I don't think anybody would have bet on Brandon Allen.
No.
But
He's
no,
done it.
well, look, that's one thing about Gardner Minshew. I mean, he's starting for the Raiders, and he's just around, you know.
Yeah.
And if you can get that NFL pension, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Good things happen. What? Because Sterner's told the story before. Clint Sterner, legendary Arkansas quarterback, like he's like something like ridiculous, like 3 or 4 games away from getting his NFL pension.
Yeah,
like it's like
that's crazy.
Yeah, he just it's gotta suck, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, Clint, we for our holy shnikes, we have to. I had to
I
say
love this
something
one.
that's going to put a smile on your face, man.
Dude, I can't stop smiling.
And I just if you don't follow if you're on TikTok and you don't follow Justin Nunnerly, I think's his name. He's been doing that's the guy that I sent you the video about the famous Owens.
No, yeah.
He did a second one, but I haven't found it on YouTube yet to send you. But anyway, there's a little team from down south that's 0-3.
I don't know.
And Clint's happy about it.
I am thrilled. I don't know how much Florida State paid Memphis.
I think it's like $1.4 million or
paid
something
them,
like that.
They paid them money.
Yeah.
For Mike Norvell's buyout.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
So he could come to Florida State and make Florida State worse than Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and he don't even get good barbecue out of the deal.
Listen, I don't want to get political and health science and all that, but I have a feeling there's going to be a new strand of COVID, and it's going to inflict the Florida State football team, and Mike Norvell's going to start canceling games again.
That's right.
He really is.
Yeah.
I figured Dabo. I don't know what's more likely, that Dabo figures out the transfer portal or Mike Norvell turns it around.
That's right. Yeah.
Both I don't think are very likely.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a dumpster fire and it is straight in the Florida Panhandle.
That's right.
I mean, well, more than just the Panhandle. The Gators aren't doing too swoofed. I was reading a meme that's saying that we've got to have Napier versus Norvell coaching for their jobs. It's got to happen.
Yeah.
First ever, I think I read first ever top 10 team to start the season 0-3. Preseason top 10, 0-3. Losses to Georgia Tech. Then it was at Boston College, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
And then now Memphis.
Yeah.
So I mean, Memphis is the worst goal. There's no. You could point at it saying embarrassing loss, but I still think it's hilarious. And and by the way, if you went to Vegas and you paid money, like, hey, what's Florida State's over under, and you took the under on wins, go get your money. You already won.
It's already
over.
there. That's right.
It's sick.
They're already under it.
There's no reason. You know what? They won't give it to you. Call J.G. Wentworth, which is, I think, 1-877 cash now.
Yeah, that's right. Or Rainwater Holton Sexton or something. You may have to sue somebody.
Yeah, but anyway, you could you got to give them the money whenever you get the give them the lottery ticket. You could probably sell it. But yeah, under clinched. You know what? That was an early kick. That was an 11 a.m. game, and I'll tell you what, I had a smile on my face.
I could see it down here in South Arkansas.
I'm going to say to about 3:45 Central.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I was like, Wesley made a joke And I'm like, dude, don't be talking that noise when the Razorbacks playing like crap. I'm already spicy. I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah,
I was verbally abusing my employees at work.
it's a rough life.
It was, yeah.
Well, and let's get into it, Clint. Last week I kind of bragged a little bit, and I said, well, um, I kind of had called what I thought this, when we did our game by game pick 'em, okay, I'd kind of called how the season was going.
Yeah.
And I sort of, I still have a chance to be pretty accurate, but where I was wrong was I thought we would, I thought we would beat UAPB, but I thought that would not be a good preparation for Oklahoma State. I didn't think we would beat them like we did. Okay. Then I thought Oklahoma State, we would go there, we would keep it close, but we would leave that game thinking we got some things together. And then against UAB, I thought we would put it all together, have a great game against them, and springboard into Auburn. Instead, Clint, the first stinking drive, we didn't show up.
15 plays. They marched down the field, took most of the first half. And I will tell you, I don't think there's a player starting on our defense that wouldn't also be starting for UAB. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. We were far more talented.
Yeah.
It was frustrating to watch, very frustrating to watch, especially the defense. I mean, Pittman, he was, you gotta, and you can question, his coaching. I know you've got some issues, but you just gotta love how brutally honest Sam Pittman is sometimes.
Sometimes.
He is just brutally honest sometimes, and going in at half. He's like, we're playing like crap.
Yeah.
We should be thumping this team.
No, I like that kind of honesty. There's a couple things in the post game I'll talk about, but no, but Clint, it was, the defense just really looked like I think the big thing, okay, just to kind of get into, I mean, we're not the, hugely technical top podcast, but we tried to talk a little bit. I mean, one of the biggest things I think was communication. It was obvious. We had guys going to the same gaps. We had guys not spacing. We had guys not covering. I mean, it was if you look before the play, our guys were in the middle of telling people what they were doing. But while the ball was being snapped, instead of paying attention and being ready for the play, there was communication breakdowns all through the defense. Okay. And it was everybody, the defensive line, our defensive line, Clint, should have destroyed that offensive line. That was an offensive line that gave up, what was it, 4 or 5 sacks to ULM?
Yeah.
Okay. And they didn't run the ball like that against ULM. Okay. They lost.
Well, you also got to think about it. Is there a starter on our defensive front 7, which I know it's probably ours is 6. I think we're a 4-2, 4-2-5. But is there a player on front 6 that wouldn't be starting for ULM?
Oh no.
I mean, I'm just saying. Every one of them. Yeah, every one of them be the star on ULM. So we had better talent.
Yeah.
And I know it just felt like defensively they never left the locker room. Like they didn't wake up.
It was just lots of stuff. I mean, some of the players had talked earlier in the week about, they thought they could knock the ball out of their hand. And so a lot of times they were loading up and hitting them hard, trying to, maybe make them fumble or something. I don't know. It seemed, I mean, that's the way they played, it seemed like. But here was the deal with the offense. With the defense. We'll talk about offense.
Yeah, we'll talk offense in a second.
But here's another thing. Well, no, let's go ahead and talk. Let's go ahead and keep going.
Well, I do want to say something that I made a point last week, because we talked about, and I'll go ahead and just give my player of the game on defense, because it's going to tie it into what I'm about to say. I'm giving my player of the game on defense to Landon Jackson's upper body, because especially on that last drive, knocked the pass down. He tipped the 4th down play so we could just knock it away. or
Yeah.
think TJ got the interception.
He used his length and his long arms
He
several
didn't just
times.
leave his long arm, even when he wasn't getting there. But I did notice last week, because we were talking about how, he hasn't gone off.
Yeah.
Landon hasn't gone off. And I did notice that they were moving him around.
They
I saw
were.
him lining up over right tackle. I saw him lining up over left tackle. He wasn't just there on the blind side. They were moving, like I said, they were moving him around a little bit, trying to help him out, because the defense is key, the offense is keying in on him. They know he's just that type of player. Like, I'm gonna guarantee you, when we play LSU in a few weeks, you better know where Harold Perkins is.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, Harold Perkins is the best player in the SEC.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll give my defensive player of the game.
And you told me who it was earlier, and I was like, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but I'm going to let you explain.
Well, and I'll explain it. And I'm going with, because to be honest with you, I had a hard time figuring out who to pick.
Yeah.
Because even the guys that had good stats, that had a lot of tackles, that seemed to make a lot of plays, they made a lot of mistakes. Dix and Sorey and Spence, and I mean, even to me, Landon Jackson, I mean, didn't play his best game. Ball had some good plays, but didn't play his best game. Made some mistakes. Gregory made a lot of mistakes. Made some good plays too. Okay, that was the thing. There are obvious superior athleticism, strength, and abilities showed up many times. But here's my player of the game. My player of the game was none other, and some people are going to hate me for this because they don't like this guy, Hudson Clark.
He didn't play.
That's right. Our defense played bad enough to where I hear Trey Biddy say in his press, his podcast the other day, this defense really missed Hudson Clark.
Well, Hudson does a lot of things.
So we played so bad that we missed a guy that's polarizing to a lot of Razorback fans. Okay. And so, which I think you're right. I think Hudson does get a bad rap.
Well,
and Trey's point was we could have used him at nickel, because that was where we had some weakness. Yeah. We had some mess ups there.
And really, you look at listen, we played like crap. There's no, but they really used their aggressiveness against us, and I think, or speed against us, and they did it. It was a good game plan. There's no other way to put it than we underperformed, and that was an unacceptable performance.
Yeah.
And I do think, at least the end of the game, it was like, Atlanta's like, we play that way against an SEC team, we're going to get killed.
Yeah.
I mean, they understand that, and it was disheartening because you played a much better team the week before, and you shut down the run, and it really seemed like most of the game UAB did what they wanted to do.
Yeah,
when they wanted to do it.
And you're exactly right. That's what is so frustrating, because we shut down the Doak Walker winner from last year. Wasn't he the Doak Walker winner?
I don't know, but he was definitely.
I think so. He's in the running for it this year. One of the best offensive line that's in the running for the best offensive line in the nation at Oklahoma State. And we shut them down. We could have done better on our pass, but their quarterback screwed up enough to where we were okay there. And then we come in and UAB runs it all over us and passes all over us.
Yeah.
Man, that's, yeah. I mean,
look, it was,
and once again, let's remember, we got the win. We got the win. Okay.
We won. It just wasn't in the fashion that we wanted to. And
now let's go over to the offense. Let's go to the offense.
I'm going to tell you what was wrong with the offense. I'm going to tell you the entire thing. Taylon Green couldn't hit the blind side of a barn. And as much as the Razorback fans love to cling them on to some Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
Why was Bobby still throwing the ball?
Well, I do have an answer for that, I think.
I mean, I get you trying to get the kid going, but this should have been a game where we had about 10 where when he was 0 for 6 and he had completed more passes to UAB than he had to our guys.
Yeah.
We really should have ran the ball more. This should have been, I'm brain farting on his name.
Jaquindon Jackson.
Jaquindon, he should have had the carries he had. Rodney Hill probably should have had 3 or 4 more, and Braylon Russell should have probably had about 10.
Yeah.
That's about how we should run the ball, because we ran the ball. The offensive line was opening up the holes.
Yeah.
Jaquindon was running through them. I mean, it didn't take a rocket science to realize Talon was off.
Yeah.
And
here's the scary thing, Clint. It wasn't just that he was off, because he threw a couple of really good passes. That one over the shoulder to the sideline to Armstrong was as pretty as a pass as we'll see all year by Green or an opponent. Okay. I mean, it was nice. He threw some that were perfect or nice passes. The problem was, and I think the biggest thing was, his timing was terrible. He was holding on to the ball too long. And here's the deal. Last week, my players of the game on offense were the receiving crew. Okay. Because they ran good routes. They made some good catches. Armstrong, of course, had a beast of a game, but I thought Tesla and Broden and some of the others. Okay. Broden had a terrible game. Okay. I mean, I'm a big fan of his. I think if he gets going, he's going to be trouble for the SEC.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a very good game. He missed some passes. But Green didn't make it easy for him, because Green was waiting too long, waiting till it was not throwing when they were open, not throwing his receivers open. He was holding on to the ball, and there was several times Satanga was wide open. Several times Broden was wide open. Armstrong was wide open. Tesla was wide. I mean, all these guys were wide open, and he's holding on to it, and then he would run out and then decide to throw it while he's on the run sometime and try to force it in somewhere instead of taking the easy timing pattern.
Well, you've seen the movie The Replacements with the legendary Joe Flacco. And you talk about what scares you, and you talk about quicksand. That was one of them quicksand games, I think, for Taylor. And it's so he's got to do what Pittman says he has to do. It was a bad game. He's got to flush it. Yeah. I don't think outside, we had some drops by the receivers. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's 5 drops, I believe. And
it was.
And if Taylor had those, it's still a mediocre game at best.
But I would say some of those were not necessarily the receiver's fault, because some of them were badly thrown or badly timed
behind him. Yeah. This has to, I mean, for this season to go the way we all want it to go, and for Sam Pittman to keep his job, quite frankly, this has to be an anomaly.
Yeah.
It really does.
Now, I will tell you one positive. I think the line did better, even though you lost your center. He's got a bum ankle, Nichols. Yeah. But Wiggins did okay. I mean, he made some mistakes here and there.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way Pittman said it, because he did okay.
But I think the offensive line did decent.
Dude, he held the ball too long because he had time to throw. He had time to throw too. I mean,
exactly. If he would have got the ball on time, he wouldn't have got any pressure most of the time. That's a few times.
If KJ had that kind of time, the amount of deep balls that man would have thrown.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so
now who was your offensive player of the game?
I'm giving it to the guards. I thought of Marion, and I told you somebody different earlier. I brain farted, but I'd been going back and forth on it. I thought of Marion Harris has been solid all year.
Yeah.
I think he's been solid. And I think Josh Braun, he's been solid. The offensive line played well. I mean, Wiggins, he probably didn't come in there thinking I'm going to play 99.9% of the game. But he played well too. I know he played center, obviously, but Carbola's been an all SEC type left tackle. There was a time that they didn't slide correctly, and he looked bad.
Yeah.
Blackenstocks looked like an all SEC guy. I mean, the offensive line is looking good. We're not
Yeah.
losing because of the offensive line.
Yeah.
The receivers could have played better.
Yeah.
I think this offensively, it just boiled down to Taylon Green had a bad game.
Yeah.
He had a bad game, and it's got to be, like I said, it's got to be. It can't be rare. I mean, it's got to be rare.
Yeah.
If it's a common thing, then you know what? If he has a bad game this week, people are going to start asking for Malachi Singleton, and it's
Oh
just
yeah.
that's the nature
There
of it.
already some are. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but
They're
so
always going
anyway,
to.
go
Well,
ahead,
my
James.
my player of the game, Clint, is normally we try to pick somebody who's not obvious. That's our whole thing, okay, folks. And if you're wondering why we pick who we pick, okay, like I had a buddy, my buddy Matt, text me. He's like, "Why did you pick the receiving crew?" I was like, "Well, I'm trying to pick the non-obvious ones. We're trying to find other ones." But Clint, our offense did so bad, to be honest with you, and I agree with you. The line's looking better. There were still some communication issues at times. I still think it's communication problems because I
Yeah,
don't think it's skill problems. I think there's skill. I agree with you. If I was going to, other than the person I'm going to give it to, because I'm going to give it to an obvious one, probably the guards would have been my next one.
yeah.
Or, yeah, probably so. But I'm going to go with Jaquindon Jackson, man. And
No,
not just for the stats he put up running the ball, though, Clint. Because against Oklahoma State, one of the things he messed up several times, not several, but a few times, handful of times, I think in pass protection. I think there were some communication issues, and I think he didn't feel where he was supposed to a couple times, and it made the offensive line look bad last week. And I didn't see that from him this week. I thought he did a better job staying in and protecting when he had to. And so, not just for the stats he put up, but also for what he did blocking. Now, I'm not saying he played a perfect game or not that he didn't mess up some in pass pro, probably, but I think overall he was the best player on the field that day.
yeah. No,
So,
and if anything, I really do feel like, offensively, and I know you're going to talk a little bit about where you're displeased with Pittman. I I don't. I mean, I think Petrino should have seen that he was off, being the veteran offensive coordinator he is, and he should have ran the ball.
well, I think part of that though, Clint, is if it would have been against Auburn, I think he would have just turned around and handed it to Jaquindon. But I think he knew that they were going to be able to outclass that team by the end of the game,
Yeah,
just with their athletic ability. And so he was trying to work those kinks out of his quarterback. I think if it hadn't have been a physically inferior team, I think he would have, if he didn't feel like they were going to beat him.
yeah,
I think you're right. I think because remember, don't forget, folks, when Petrino came to Arkansas the first time, and his theme and the way he runs offense is this: he's going to spread you out, he's going to stretch you out, he's going to do all those things. But when it gets toward the end of the game, he's going to turn around and he's going to give it to a back, and he's going to punish you into submission in order to close out the game. That's what he liked to do with Nile Davis and Ronnie Wingo, and that's why he liked some of those bigger backs at that time. Even though he did it with Dennis Johnson and some of the others, so he's the type that he likes to do that. Okay, he likes to get some
yeah.
downhill running on you. So anyway, now Clint, I looking back during the game, I started thinking we should have saw this coming. When I was watching the game and I was watching the team that we love underperform, all of a sudden things started flashing back in my mind. And I said, this was laid out there on a silver platter. We should have saw this coming. And here's why, Clint. We watched the press conferences last week. And every time the players were interviewed, okay, they were asked, well, this offensive line, Jackson and some of the, and Nico and some of those guys were asked. This offensive line gave up 4 or 5 sacks, whatever, against ULM. What have you seen from them? What are they going to be good at? What are y'all going to struggle with them? And here was the answer that every player gave. It was like they were talking to a politician because they didn't answer the question with any precise. They just gave generalities. And they said this. They said, we're not so much worried about them. We're just worried about us. If we go out there and we just do us, then we should beat this team. Okay. And it makes me wonder, Clint, why our defense got out there and looked like they hadn't seen anything on film from these guys. Now, I'm not saying they didn't watch film, but what I'm saying is I think they started believing some of the hype. Okay. And it's hard to say they got hype from the Oklahoma State game, but everybody was telling them, you guys were the best team out there. You took the 17th ranked team to the woodshed. It just didn't say so on the scoreboard, boys. Patting them on the back. Way to go. Y'all are going to win out the rest of the season. Y'all are better than everybody else. You just if you clean up those mistakes, you're good. No problem. And I think this team showed some immaturity and started believing some of that junk.
No, and it happens. I don't know if you remember this when I had this terrible idea and I played for the Central Arkansas Rhinos. Professional minor league football, Travis.
Yes, professional.
It was semi-pro. They called it that to make themselves feel better. I knew it was semi-pro football and I was playing it. I'm like, look, if I'm starting, this is semi-pro at best.
Yeah.
So, anyway, neither here nor there. I'm sorry for the self-deprecation. But I remember we played the Springfield Rhinos, and me and Jermaine Brown, Tank Brown, who he started at UCA. He started at UAPB, then transferred to UCA, and then we had actually worked together at Hardee's, and then we were on the team together. He was a starting left tackle, I was starting center. But we played the Springfield Rifles, and they were like the number 2 team in the NFL. And like we played them, and we honestly had them beat, and we blew it. Blew it at the end. I mean, similar to what happened with Oklahoma State and Arkansas. And we said, like, hey, if that's the number 2 team in the country, everybody else is in trouble.
Yeah.
Because we're better than them. And we knew we were better than them. Well, what happened is we played this team from South Arkansas. We had the news come out there. Like Channel 11 was out there to shoot the game. I don't know if they all had matching uniforms or not. Like they all had black jerseys, but it was not like we were a uniform football team, and that's the way most league was. And this was like a thrown together team.
Yeah.
They came out there and we beat them, but it was ugly. Like, I mean, it just, this kind of thing, when your chest is poked out a little bit and you got somewhere, when you're sleeping on silk sheets and the other guys coming in hungry, they're going to want to punch you in the mouth. And this is a thing. It happened to Arkansas this week, and we were fortunate enough to win, but it's happening all over college football.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It really is. I mean, we're talking Holy Shnikes last week was Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Lost to Northern Illinois. This was after going to College Station.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't care who you are, is a tough place to play.
Yeah.
After going to College Station and winning, and then, Memphis just beat Florida State. Yeah. Florida State's got some talent.
Well, Trey Biddy rightfully pointed out when he was on Drive Time, and I think on his podcast the other day too, he pointed this out that, this happens. Okay. You got teams like South Carolina who's, struggled with Old Dominion.
Yeah.
Then they beat Kentucky. Then Kentucky goes and plays an awesome game against Georgia, okay, and knocks them out
Caused
of
Georgia
nowhere.
to drop in the polls.
Yeah. So, these things happen. But here's my thing, Clint. And here's where I question, because there's something I didn't like. In the post-game press conference, Pittman got it there in there. And like you said, he's a very honest guy. And look, and I love Sam Pittman. I'm proud to call him my coach. Okay. But I also had to be honest as a fan and honest and take an honest look at things. He gets in the post-game press conference and he starts saying, well, Travis Williams missed a practice or two because he had a child. But he didn't blame. He's like, but he needed to go be with his wife and he needed to be there at the birth of his child. But I think that did hurt us not having him there this week. And then he said, we wasn't able to play practice full speed because we were pretty beat up after the Oklahoma State game. We had some guys in green jerseys on defense, and that causes us to not play as fast because you can't get those guys hurt. I didn't like the excuses, Clint.
Yeah. And by his press, judging by his Monday press conference, he'd heard exactly what you said.
Yeah.
And I think I think to a degree he was just being honest.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: you need to practice full speed with the guys behind them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, those white guys, maybe they ain't doing contact, but you find other reps for them. You need to practice full speed with the guys you got and the guys who are going to have to play if that guy gets hurt again.
Well, and here's the other thing that makes me wonder, and this is the question I have to ask. Okay, you have to ask this because we've seen it now, especially the last 2 years. Is there something about his leadership style that causes teams to do this?
Well,
to not take a team seriously when they should. To not.
This is
and look, I'm not calling for his head. I hope the guy.
No.
I still think he's going to win 7 games this year and keep his job. Okay, I still think that.
This isn't a Sam Pittman thing. This is all over college football, and the Razorbacks has a history of doing this. Bobby Petrino, his first year, I can't remember. He didn't set the world on fire. Now, of course, he built it to, and then, Chad Morris, he underperformed against everybody. Like his signature win's a big, huge home win against Colorado State.
Yeah.
Which we barely won.
Yeah.
Belima lost to Toledo.
But here's the deal though, Clint, with those guys, especially with Morris and with Bielema, we can look back and say there's something in their leadership that caused that to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
With Morris, it was obvious. The team didn't connect with him. The team didn't trust him. They wasn't following him. With Bielema, we're wondering, we end up losing those games at halftime, and we have leads on teams and they come back on us. Well, some of his players come out after he's gone and say, well, at halftime, we didn't do any adjustments. He just said, all right, boys, just keep doing what you're doing. And we just partied at halftime. Well, that's why that's how you end up with Missouri coming back from 27 down or whatever it was to be.
Well, in the Belk Bowl, I remember.
And then the Music City, yeah, and the Belk Bowl.
No, and Travis, that's a great point. I don't think it is. I think Sam Pittman's a heck of a leader. I just think this is. I don't know if maybe he hasn't figured out how when the team's slacking to get them in focus. You know what I'm saying? Because because I tell you what, here's what Steve Mullins would have done. Because I know Steve Mullins pretty well, Coach Mullins, who had a friend of the program, been on the podcast a couple times. If we weren't focused like that, we took everybody seriously just because it's Division II. Let's be honest, no one's writing about us. But he would just start practice over.
Yeah,
like he would go back to stretching.
Yeah.
That's what and I don't think he would have cared what period we were in.
Well, and there's some different ways to deal with that. Okay, I mean that's part of that's why you go to your leaders on your team and you pull them aside and you have some closed door meetings with them and say, hey, look, here's what I don't like. I need y'all to help it get stepped up. There's some things you do. You pull your position coaches aside and say, hey, look, but here's the deal. Do you, as the head coach, are you seeing that? And are you doing something about it instead of just trying to say, well, hopefully it's UAB. Hopefully we'll do better.
Well, and the Travis Williams thing is probably legit. I really didn't like hearing we had a lot of guys in green jersey were pretty beat up. Dude, it's the second game.
Yeah.
You ain't even in the SEC grind yet.
Yeah.
No, when you're in the SEC grind, everybody else is going to be in the SEC grind, and your body's going to, calcify to it.
Yeah, but I think by the third game too, even if your defensive coordinator's not there for practice, that you should still be able to run pretty good practices. Yeah. I mean, you got his buddy, the defensive back coach, Woodson or whatever.
Yeah.
He can call everything, man. I mean, he's a talented guy. I mean, so that's the thing I worry about. Okay. And look, people are already all over Pittman, and that's fine, and I'm not trying to bang on that. I'm just trying to raise real questions. As a fan, these are the questions we have to ask. And if I'm Sam Pittman, those are questions I need to be asking myself.
Yeah. Well,
I have to self-evaluate my job.
Yeah.
And say, what am I doing right and what am I doing wrong? And I know he's going to probably be harder on himself than any fan could ever be, because he's a guy that has a lot of character and he does want to win. He does want the best.
Well, and I think if anything was Sam Pittman, everybody that's saying, oh, he should be fired right after the game and blah, blah, blah. Sam Pittman's not going to be fired. If Hunter Yurachek fires Sam Pittman, it'll be after the Missouri game.
Yeah.
He's not going to fire him during the season.
No.
You look at, when he fired Chad Boris, that had to be done. You had just got beat by the quarterback. You ran out of town and told him there wasn't a spot for him on the team.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and ends you.
Now, before we look forward to this Auburn game, just to kind of push us along here, Clint, I wanted to bring up this week, Monday, Hunter Yurachek was at the Touchdown Club. David Basil's little party he does every Monday. And, he followed up some pretty big name speakers, started out with Sam Pittman and then Brett Favre and Ray Lewis, Eric Dickerson, and Hunter Yurachek. But Hunter was talking about NIL, and he mentioned that he put the onus pretty much on the fans. He said, look, he said Stevens and Tyson and Walmart, the Waltons, they're going to do their part. But he said, that's not what's going to build up our NIL. He said, we need the fans. He said, and we're behind. We're bad behind other SEC teams. He said, Ole Miss has 5,000 people that give to their collective. At Arkansas, we have 1,000 that give. And he said, what we need is about 10,000 people in the state of Arkansas to give $100 a month to the collective, or the Arkansas Edge, or whatever it's called, in order to support NIL. What's your response to that?
Whether we want to admit it or not, that's what the future is. But here's the thing. I'm not going to pay $100. I'm a huge fan. I host the podcast. And I'm not going to pay $100 a month for NIL money just for the. I'd rather have $1,200 than the Razorbacks be good at football.
Yeah.
But I hope that I'm in the minority. It's just not something like, look, I get it, and hopefully people will pay it. I'm not going to. I understand that if he's probably stating facts.
Now, there's a couple other things that are coming out too. Saw where Tennessee is looking at charging a 10% extra for their tickets to fund NIL. And then also today, I believe, Georgia and I think one other state in the SEC voted to or decided their state house or whatever said that it was legal now for the schools to pay players themselves,
Right.
and that the NCAA couldn't do anything about it. So,
Well,
so that means that the schools could take a certain percentage of their money they bring in from TV deals and from the SEC and everything else, from the from the money revenue sharing and all that kind of stuff, that they can take that money and put it toward players. And from what I understand, that would mean if right now, if Arkansas did that, with the amount of money they would have to spend, I think it's like 21 million or something. So they could take and give $46,000 to every scholarship athlete at Arkansas. So the backup catcher on the baseball team would get 46,000. The starting quarterback for the Razorbacks would get 46,000.
you know what this
That's if
sounds
they
like?
did it even.
You
If
know
they
that no,
did
this
it.
you know what this sounds like? A
What's that?
whole lot of litigation I don't want to get into.
Yeah.
Because here's what's going to happen. Somebody's going to sue somebody, going to sue somebody. They're going to say Title IX, you got to pay the female soccer player as much as you got to pay the starting quarterback. But that's the beauty with the NIL.
But really, but shouldn't that have been what they done at the beginning? Was just decide on an amount they could pay everybody equal. Everybody gets that. Because the goal at the beginning, Clint, was these kids need to be able to make a little money so that they can afford to go out to eat and do all the things they want to do. It
Listen,
wasn't necessarily so they could get rich off their name, image, and likeness.
I get it, but here's the thing. There is an agreement. There's a trade. What the school has agreed to do, and every school offers. I don't care if you're Arkansas Tech, if you're the University of Arkansas, if you're Texas A&M, if you're Alabama, if you're Boise State, if you're Nevada, if you're New Mexico. The agreement that we have is we as a school are going to give you a free education. In turn, you're going to play athletics for me.
Yeah.
And that is the same thing that they give. So they're literally giving the same. Now, of course, there's different nutrition and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
and perks. But for overall, the number one agreement's that.
Yeah.
Now, where the NCAA erred so wrong, where they said, no, Johnny Manziel, you can't go sign autographs of your picture and make money.
Yeah.
And no, Terrell, you can't, or Terrell, oh, what was his name? The quarterback for Ohio State. Terrell Pryor.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get your tattoos for free. You got to pay for your tattoos.
Yeah.
You can't just sign some memorabilia and get your tattoos. That was ridiculous. They kept making horrible rules like that. And so now you got this. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is if you do that, then you're running into so much litigation.
Yeah.
Your best thing to do is to do what you're doing, but the problem is NIL is out of control.
Yeah.
And you've got to have the NIL fund, and it's can't listen, it's basically like the old Southwest Conference. It's legal now.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't think there's some butthole kid driving a gold Corvette that a booster bought him?
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead,
All
Travis.
right. So let's go on to the Auburn game. Going to Auburn, first of all, you can, for that game, you can, pretty much give them a few points just because the refs will be in their favor. There'll be some kind of crazy call to where Auburn will rob us of something during the game.
You picked a win. I picked a loss
to
on this
win.
one.
Yeah.
And I picked a loss. So
Auburn has played Alabama A&M. They won 73-3. Then they played Cal and lost 14-21. And then they came back and played homecoming against New Mexico.
A little early for homecoming, don't you think?
It is. And they won 45-19. And so they got us coming in at 2:30 this week. And then here's the deal. They just had New Mexico as a warm up for us. Okay, so that what they're not beat up from that or anything. However, we got a chance that they may be looking ahead a little bit because after us, they have Oklahoma coming in. They go to Georgia. Then they go to Columbia, Missouri. So they got a 3-game stretch after us.
Pretty
tough.
we got the Southwest Classic after them, so it's not like we're not looking ahead a little bit too. But no, this is one of them games. I think and this is so hard to believe. If Arkansas plays their best and Auburn plays their best, Arkansas wins. Do you clean up here's the thing? Do you clean up the mistakes from the past 2 weeks? If you clean up the mistakes, I think you win. They did switch quarterbacks, benched the guy that torched us last year, Thorne. And then they're starting a kid named Brown, a little bit better passer. Should be interesting. And Travis, can I tell you something? I gotta get this off my chest. I freaking hate Texas.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, they lose Quinn Ewers. I mean, a Heisman Trophy, would have been a top 10 draft pick last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he might have been at the worst, the 4th quarterback off the board last year.
Yeah.
I think this year he'll probably be 2nd behind Sanders. So he gets hurt, and you're like, oh, man, freaking Arch Manning.
Yeah.
I mean, just that.
Yeah.
Don't they just tick you off?
It's hard to see them do good, but yeah.
Yeah, it just ticks me off. I had to gripe about it.
The wealthy stay wealthy.
Yeah.
Well, Auburn has, to me, Clint, this game, back to the Auburn game.
Sorry.
This team is a lot like Oklahoma State. They have a solid running game. They got a good running back. They got an unproven quarterback. Oklahoma State had the older quarterback, but he was very unproven. Wasn't that great. They're not as good as Oklahoma State. They're just not. That's why we should have a good chance against them. But which Arkansas team shows up?
Yeah.
And does the Arkansas team, do we come out playing confident? Does our defense finally get some pressure on the quarterback? And then there's the Hugh Freeze factor. A great offensive mind. Also, their defensive coordinator was the defensive coordinator at Texas A&M last year. So he knows what it's like to go against Bobby Petrino's offense. He knows how to defend it. He knows.
Well, did Petrino run his offense last year?
Well, that's true.
That's just the thing is I don't think. I think last year you saw what we all thought we were going to see, which was, Fisher sabotage Petrino, and we knew that was going to happen. When a head coach don't want to give up play calling duties, it never goes good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We saw that with Houston Nutt. You can't force it out of his hand because when it comes to end game, he's going to do what he wants.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it could be a good game.
We know what your prediction was before, but what's your prediction for this game? As we're in,
I think Arkansas comes out like their backs against the wall. Here's the thing: you freeze.
So, are you now thinking we win it?
I think we win it. Of course, I'll probably say that about every game the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then because I'm ready to, except for Texas, because freaking hate Texas.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, Sam Pittman's back's against the wall, and Hugh Freeze doesn't need it.
Yeah.
But did Auburn find something special with Brown? The kid had 4 touchdown passes last week.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I'm gonna say Arkansas. I'm gonna say 35-25. Arkansas wins.
Okay. Better. What's the spread in it on this one, Travis?
I think it's down to they're up by 3.5.
3.5. So better. I mean, okay. So yeah, I mean, also there's a pretty good chance that me and your center complain about the officiating on.
There's a very good chance of that. Yeah.
There's a very good chance. Just that we're like,
yeah,
the officials, they screwed us again.
But I think they're gonna go straight. Remember the Titans and leave no doubt. Herman, leave no doubt.
But you know what I really need, Travis?
What's that?
I need for these people that are listening to this podcast, that are watching us on the YouTube. I need you to click the like button.
Click
and
it.
Then you share it. Just share it. Say,
and
hey.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So they know every week when the new one comes out.
Give us a 5-star on Apple Podcasts.
That's right.
On TuneIn Radio. If you're on Farmers Only, watching us on Travis's account, what's up?
What's up, ladies?
Hey. My guy up there.
My DMs are wide
open. He's on X. Wow. I don't have X, so if you message us on X, that's all Travis.
That's all me.
That's all him. Yeah.
That's right.
I don't even have a login.
Follow us on that. Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Seriously, folks, thanks for watching and listening. Let us know what you think. What do you think about the stuff we said? We're right, we're wrong. What do you think about our players of the game? All that good stuff. We appreciate you so much. Have a great week. You don't have to
be lonely.
Go Hogs.
FarmersOnly.com.
Peace out, Clint.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard drive so I can sow the seed. Ain't afraid of no aches and pain. Lord knows I gotta follow his lead. That's why I sweat when I work. My hands get